And now to the potential global implications from the attack on Venezuela and arrest of former Venezuelan president and the First Lady. The international community is now weighing in on what some are calling a new world order. Matt Rivers reports from Bogota, Colombia.
As the bombs fell in Caracas Saturday, it quickly became clear that the shockwaves did not stop in Venezuela. The attack, the implication, rippled around the world. Starting with the UN, where the U.S. laid out its justification at an emergency meeting of the Security Council.
The United States will not waver in our actions to protect Americans from the scourge of narcoterrorism and seeks peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela.
But that largely fell on deaf ears, the Council condemning U.S. actions. Even amongst allies, concern. France's deputy ambassador said the attack chips away at the very foundation of the international order.
They are torn behind closed doors, but they will not want to say that publicly, lest they are in some way victimized and pursued by the US president for having criticized him.
Allies like Mexico, Brazil, Bahrain, all calling the attack illegal.
I don't expect that there's going to be a wave of these events going forward in China or in Russia or somewhere else. But there is a sort of hypocritical argument here that if China did decide that it wanted, for example, to move on Taiwan as a way to sort of say, well, hey, wait a minute, you did this in Venezuela, we're simply doing the same thing in Taiwan.
But perhaps nowhere are the effects of this attack felt more than in countries already in the crosshairs of the U.S. In Iran, just last year on the receiving end of U.S. bombs, the government predictably railed against the U.S. attack. China, too, weighing in, the foreign ministry saying the U.S.'s move is in clear violation of international law, and we demand that the United States change its course, cease its bullying and coercive practices.
The president prides himself on being unpredictable. He prides himself on, turning rather rapidly. But that does have consequences for how other countries view their relations with the United States. And, I think we're likely to see some bumps in the road here in the coming year.
And then there is Cuba, the country many believe could be the next target of the Trump administration's newfound penchant for regime change. There is real fear in the Cuban government, sources said, about the U.S.'s willingness to carry out an attack in Havana. This cowardly U.S. aggression constitutes a criminal act and a violation of international law and represents a dangerous escalation, the Cuban government said in a statement. And so, in the face of a torrent of international criticism, what would be the response of the White House? Well, basically, they said, we don't care. One of the fiercest critics of this attack, President Petro, here in Colombia. President Trump has, of course, threatened military action against this country as well. And in response to that, President Petro has asked Colombians to go take to the streets tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. in rallies celebrating national pride.